Hey guys, it's Coach Conway. I am joined today by Greg Eisen. He is a member of the Petra coaching staff. Petra was founded by Andy Bailey, a fraternity brother of mine from way back when, and been following them a while. You know, they're doing some really cool stuff in relation to the CARES Act right now. Greg is I guess you say a lifelong entrepreneur. From what I've learned about him, he's owned and sold multiple businesses, bought and sold over the course of his lifetime. And he's kind of digging into the CARES Act right now to help small businesses learn a little bit more about how that can benefit them and just how all this is playing out with them. So, Greg, welcome, man. It's great to have you here. You want to give us maybe a little bit more background than I've got, because I didn't get a lot of that. I'll let you to explain that to us.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. It's great to be on your show here, your Zoom show. The world has changed a bit, but at Petra Coach, we are passionate about helping our companies and helping our clientele through this time. We're confident that coming out on the other side of this, there's going to be a tremendous amount of opportunity. So we need to prepare for that and start preparing for that now. My background, just real simply, I've been in business for myself for 23 years. I have started, built, bought, sold numerous businesses in numerous industries, photography, healthcare, real estate development, lending, amongst other areas. And about 3 years ago, I transitioned into the world of coaching. And Wade, I've found my calling and my passion even more so than the entrepreneurial world. I am extremely fulfilled helping others to grow and to develop personally and professionally. We use the platform Scaling Up, which is an operating system for running businesses. And it's what I used in building my business before I sold it in 2008, my primary business, which was in the photography space, to a multi-billion-dollar company. So I'm thrilled to be here and help in any way that I can, whether it's the CARES Act or any other topics.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit about what role Petra plays, and then we'll get into the CARES Act. So what do you guys target out there?
So we work with mostly entrepreneurial companies of various sizes. We've got clients that are doing $1 billion in sales, and we've got clients that are doing small businesses. So we help these companies to scale up, to grow their businesses using the principles that I mentioned in scaling up. Essentially, we help build purpose, accountability, and alignment in organizations using a variety of tools and tactics. So we'll work with the CEOs and we'll work with the leadership teams to help folks get organized and get accountable and create core purpose and core vision and core values, etc. We love doing it. Absolutely love doing it.
So how much do you see an absence of having like a culture and core vision in corporate America today? How common is that?
I think that I think folks are very aware of the ideas around core purpose and core value. But I think that most companies don't truly know how to bring it into the thread of their businesses and really bring it alive in their businesses. To simply design a document that says, here's our core purpose, here's our core values, and put them up on the wall doesn't mean a whole lot. Right. You've got to live it and breathe it and drive it deep, deep, deep into the organization. And there's lots of ways to do that, but most people don't know how. So a coaching organization like ours certainly helps with that.
Awesome. So how did the CARES Act, obviously you guys were looking at, like what I've tried to coach a lot of my clients on right now is, being a help in times like this and, knowing the season that you're living in. So how did this come out and how are you guys serving in that capacity?
Yeah. So we have moved fast, and I mean fast. When this COVID thing hit in beginning of March, we reacted extremely quickly. And what I mean by that is we started putting out content. We started putting on webinars and workshops and reaching out to our network and our communities in order to help in any and every way possible. So one of the things that we realized early on that we needed to dig into was the CARES Act and the government relief that's being provided to our country. There are many components to the CARES Act. There's direct deposit money that maybe some of your audience is receiving if they make a certain amount of money. There is what's called the Paycheck Protection Program, which is probably what we should spend the most of our time talking about. This is a $350 billion pot of money that has already been expired. So it's already been expired, and they're right now working in Congress to add to that. And they're expecting that to be done this week, early this week. But all of your audience, whether they're small businesses or sole proprietorships, has the ability to submit an application and potentially receive money that can be forgiven primarily for payroll replacement.
Right.
The other thing that folks could consider is something called the EIDL, which is disaster loan program put on by the SBA. This is more of a traditional loan where underwriting is required and such. They do have an advance that they offer up $1,000 per employee, up to $10,000. I've actually got some small businesses that has been funded for that already. Just shows up in your bank account. You don't get an email or a call or anything. It just shows up.
It's almost like the old, I think about you've got mail, it's you've got money.
It's really strange. I think the government is trying to do a lot of good things, but they're still the government, and they still lack in some of their processes.
Right.
But the EIDL loan is something worth applying for. You can go to the SBA.gov. You can look for the EIDL application link, and you can apply right online there. It takes 5 minutes to apply. You do not have to proceed with the loan if you choose not to. It'll take a month or so for you to hear back from the SBA, especially in these times. But apply for it, because you may get $1,000, or if you have employees, up to $10,000 that will just show up in your bank account.
Right.
So I would encourage you guys to look at that. The Paycheck Protection Program is a program you have to go through your bank for. So you've got to locate a local bank, preferably one that you've worked with and are doing business with, and they have a process for submitting an application. The application is 1 page, 2 pages. It's very simple, but you do have to provide some supporting documentation that basically determines what your payroll was for a 12-month period. So take 12 months, divide it by 12, and times it by 2.5. And essentially, that's how you get the amount of loan that you can request.
So they're trying to give you a couple of months worth of payroll.
Essentially, you have 8 weeks to use that money in the way that the government has decided you need to use it, which is 75% or more on payroll and up to 25% on rent, mortgage interest, utilities, things like that. And if you use it for those purposes and you keep really good records, you can request forgiveness at the end of that 8-week period. And you can be forgiven for the entire amount of that loan potentially. So that's attractive, but you do have to follow the rules, and the rules are a bit obscure, and they're changing daily, and it's a moving target.
What do you think some of the most misunderstood things, since you've been kind of, or some of the more surprising things that you found as you dug into this a little bit more?
So some of the surprising things right now, today on April 21st, are around loan forgiveness and some of the parameters around how to be forgiven for that for that money. Now, one of the reasons is because the federal government and or the SBA is putting out drips and drabs of information. They moved so quickly here initially that they really didn't have everything thought through. They dumped $350 billion of money essentially onto these banks and said, go lend. And the banks were completely and continue to be completely overwhelmed. There are banks that it just started taking applications when they opened this up on April 3rd. So there are a lot of unhappy companies and people who have not been able to get their applications in and receive the money yet. Thankfully, as I mentioned, I'm confident the government will pass a new bill that will free up another $300 billion or so to be determined, for this. But the loan forgiveness quotient, the formulas that they're using, are still to be determined and uncertain in some respects.
Right.
The parameters are clear: 75% to be used for payroll, 25% for other things. But what does payroll consist of? There's some question marks about that. Right. The 25% of other items, is that 25% of the loan amount, or is that 25% of the payroll spend? Turns out it's the latter. Okay. So you got to read the fine print, seek some guidance from your bank. Certainly at Petra Coach, some of our workshops, we get into some of these details. We can help with that as well. We're putting on workshops for many things, including government relief, CARES Act stuff. Gotcha.
And are these open to anyone that wants to attend those, or are these just people that are coaching with you guys, or how are those working out?
It is open to anybody. Some of them are free, and some of them have small fees, $295 or $395 or something to attend. So you can go to petracoach.com. There's a COVID link there, and all of our programs are there.
Awesome. So I know my audience specifically, there's a lot of self-employed people out there in real estate and mortgages. And I know I'm not going to try to put you on the spot. You said there's, you're not really an expert on who can apply for what, but in general, on the payroll protection plan, we're usually talking about, somebody that has employees. It's not going to be so much a sole proprietor individual, or is that not all that clear?
Yeah. So on April 3rd, they opened up the application process to small businesses. These are legal entities. They have employees. Those small businesses could declare or calculate their payroll based on W-2 employees. They cannot declare or calculate on 1099s. Okay? The reason for that is because on April 10th, the government opened up the process to 1099s or sole proprietorship. So as a sole proprietorship or a 1099, you can now submit the application for yourself. In some cases, you may have employees. In other cases, you may not. But what you would need to do is contact your local bank, let them know that you're a sole proprietorship or a 1099, that you've had some payroll loss, as most of us have, and that you want to submit an application, and they'll give you the calculations that you need, the application that you need, and you can get that in process. So the answer is yes. Independent contractors that have their own that have lost payroll should absolutely apply.
And sounds like you said, it sounds like sooner rather than later, because this money went quick the last time. It's probably going to go quickly again, and it may take some time to process.
That's 100% right, Wade. We were telling folks, back in March, get your ducks in order, get this in early. My prediction was that on April 3rd, they would run out of money. And I was wrong, but only because the banks could submit the applications.
They weren't ready yet, right?
Not because folks didn't apply for it. They did. So you're 100% right. The government says that, they're going to do whatever it takes, right, and continue to fund this crisis. But I certainly wouldn't be taking any chances. I've submitted 5 of these myself for my own small businesses, and I've received funding for several of them already. So I would encourage everybody to get going on that.
How long was the process for you, just from, individually, if you don't mind sharing that?
The EIDL loan process, 5 minutes. The PPP process is a little more in depth, as you need to match the needs that the banks have. And they have a variety of forms you have to fill out and the supporting schedules that go along with it. One of my businesses needed a Schedule C and a 1040, I believe. I didn't even have that for 2019 yet for that.
Right.
So I had to ask my accountant to prepare that, which took him, a day to prepare.
Right.
So a little more in depth.
Well, I really, really appreciate, Greg, you sharing this information, and I appreciate what you guys are doing at Petra out there. Not only just to obviously reaching out to folks that you guys have business with, but to open this up to help other people out there that are small business owners in and around your communities. I guess it's probably, are these things virtual or are they attended in person? I guess it's virtual right now, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, you could do this all virtually. No question.
Awesome. What's the best way for somebody to reach out to you if they need some more information about coaching or Petra?
Yeah, you could feel free to email me at greg@petracoach.com. That's probably the easiest way.
I'll put that some show notes in there when we get down to the bottom of this. I'm probably going to be this Facebook and then YouTube, then I may go ahead and make this an audio and put it on my blog as well, so you guys can access that anyway.
We also have a VIP hotline of some sort at Petra 24/7. So if you go to that website, petracoach.com, and you've got a question or an issue, there's going to be a coach there to help you pretty much around the clock. You can submit the request. We have a Ask a Coach workshop where anybody can attend and ask the coaches questions. We've got webinars on not only government relief, as I mentioned, but how to get ready to reset and go on offense now.
Right.
We've been playing defense.
Absolutely.
We've been stabilizing. Now it's time to reset and move in the direction of offense. We have some workshops that help folks to do that. So we're working around the clock to help folks. We're enjoying it. But we know that there are a lot of people that are struggling through this, that need some guidance, that need some coaching, that need some help. And, we're happy to be that resource.
Greg, with Petra Coach, I appreciate your time today with me, man. It's been great, been educational and good news for folks out there.
Thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it, Wade. It's a pleasure meeting you.
Good to meet you.
All right. Take care.